Hello book lovers and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins and today I'm talking to author Martin Adams. Martin is the author of the children's fantasy series The Radiance of Fairborn Hall. Martin, a keen traveller, visited countries in the Far East, Europe and South America. He taught science and religion in high schools in 2003 and 2004 and now living in the UK writes his books and is also a gardener and decorator. Hi Martin, first of all welcome and thank you for coming on Book Talk Radio Club.
Oh, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Who are the Ravens of Fairborn Hall?
Right, well, very simply, they are the Raven family who live in Fairborn Hall. The parents are called Corvus and Sophia Raven, and they have a history of stealing magical items from the evil organisation called the Nix. And then they gave all of that up to have kids who are called Mithra and Tam, and they're 10-year-old twins. And they know nothing of their parents' past until there's a fire in the family home.
So tell me about the characters of each twin.
Okay, so although they're the same age, Mithra is like the big sister. She's very assertive, she's got a very go-get-em kind of attitude, and she's very adventurous, and she's the instigator. And Tam is a lot more cautious and careful and considered. He's a perfectionist, he's a follower. And I find action-adventure tends to be seen as a very male genre. So I wanted to write something appealing for both boys and girls, so it's important to me to have a strong female role model.
Good choice. There's lots of action and adventure, magic, real-world mystery items and places mixed with mythological items and with a spiritual basis. Just my cup of tea. Plenty of excitement for children and adults alike. Hold on though, a spiritual basis? Where does that come from?
Right, well, whenever I write, I try to incorporate everything I've ever found interesting, and I try to condense all of that into an easily understood package. And I found the spiritual world and spiritual mythos as an incredibly rich vein of fiction. So, in India, there's the term siddhi, which refers to the superpowers that are attained through enlightenment. So there are stories of yogis who have an arm cut off and just stick it back on, or they can sit underwater for hours. And within shamanic stories, there are people that can change forms into various animals or teleport. And the concept of enlightenment itself is an interesting idea to play with in fiction. And I find all of this really fascinating. So I try to incorporate these ideas in books. So by the end of book 3, the twins become sort of enlightened, and they take on the magical powers of the items they've used, but they can also lose their powers through negativity. In a way, this makes the stories a bit like old-fashioned moral stories. If you're good, you can have magical powers, and if you fall into negativity, you can lose them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want children to know about the fantastic stories of the past, the Greeks, the Indians, the Egyptians, and I want them to be inspired and to learn about spirituality and enlightenment and mythology and ancient civilizations, and I want them to have some awe and wonder in their lives, as well as having stories about dealing with negativity. And I kind of feel it's about giving them a moral compass.
Where is Fairborn Hall? Is it located in the UK? Can you describe it for the listeners, please?
Yeah, sure. It is in the UK, in my mind. It's in the Midlands. It's a big old country house with lots of windows and interior wooden panelling and higgledy outhouses and verandas added around the outside, and it's set in a grassy clearing surrounded by forests, and there's a river running through the land not far from the house.
Right.
There's a boathouse where the family boat, the Hermes, sits.
You've got a very, very vivid imagination, a rich imagination, haven't you? I love it.
Yeah, well, I had to spend a lot of time at Fairborn Hall with the kids when I first went there, yes.
I bet. You visited many countries over the years. Have you included some of the places in your books, and if so, which ones?
Well, in book 3, the Great Pyramid of Giza plays a big role. I always wanted to go there when I was growing up, and I'm so glad that I did. I think it was in the year 2000 I went there. And for me, it stands as a mystery. It's designed to make us ask questions and to make us want to understand it.
Absolutely.
And similarly, Roslin Chapel in Scotland is in the book as well. It's a place full of mystery that makes us ask questions of the past.
Would you like to give a brief synopsis of the first series, The Ravens of Fairborn Hall?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you've got the Raven twins. They're separated from their parents, and they discover that their parents have been secretly storing magical items to keep them from falling into the hands of the evil organisation called the Nix. And the Nix want to hold back human progress or evolution, and the good guys want humans to progress and move forward. And this is a theme that runs throughout all of the books, but it's not always as simple as it seems. So in the first book, they meet a character who wants to destroy all of the world's computer money, as this would strike a blow against the Nix, who are rich and powerful, and humanity would be forced to move forward in different ways. But the twins realise that this would also be incredibly destructive, so they're forced to make a big choice as to which side they're actually on. And after that, it kind of becomes a quest. You know, there are objects that the Nix are after that when used together will allow time travel. So the twins have to find these first, but there's lots of twists and turns along the way, so I don't want to give too much away.
No, of course not. Of course not.
However, I will say that ultimately the twins have to use these objects to travel in time themselves, and in so doing they become sort of enlightened and they take on the powers of the magical items that they've used up to this point, which makes writing the next series a lot easier for me.
And tell me a little bit about the second series then, Trapped in Time.
Yeah, sure. The Trapped in Time, carries on directly from the first series. Okay, so suddenly the children find that the timeline starts shifting, so the twins realise that the Nix must have found some way of travelling and altering the past, so they have to go back into the past to change things to how they should be. So now there's a complete role reversal in the Nix are making changes, and the twins want to keep everything the same. So in the first book, there's a big moral question for the twins. It starts off simple. So the Nix have exposed a lie, and if the kids change things back to how they should be, they're protecting the lie. So do you protect the lie or protect time? And this causes friction between pragmatic Mithra and perfect Tam. But then the problems become bigger. Now, would you sink the Titanic to protect the timeline, or do you save the Titanic and allow the Nix to get away with incredibly powerful magical items and allow them to change the timeline, not knowing what effect that will have on the future?
Fantastic.
Yeah, this friction causes a big problem between Mithra and Tam, which results in Tam being lost in time. And this becomes really the central act of the story. It becomes really important later on. And I can't say much more than that. But again, there's lots of twists and turns and surprises.
Your books have been called Dan Brown for Children. I mean, that's a compliment and a half. I see you've had some lovely reviews over on Amazon, including Martin's imagination shines through. All children, girls and boys will get lost in the adventure. And a good combination of adventure, magic and mystery. What was the best moment for you, Martin? The first review or first sale, and why?
Well, actually, I prefer a good review because it's a confirmation that I'm doing something right and somebody understands what I'm trying to do, whereas I find sales scary. I get this thought of, oh, someone's got my book. I wonder who they are and will they like it, and so it's an unknown for me.
I can understand that. You have two boys aged, if I'm correct, 12 and 10. Yes. What do they think of their daddy's books?
Well, my kids love my books. Like the first time I read some of my books to them was just the best feeling ever. I mean, I remember them jumping around on the bed saying, it's better than Harry Potter. I'm not claiming it is, but obviously they loved it. And when I came downstairs that night, I've never smiled so much. I couldn't get the smile off my face. It was a wonderful feeling.
Oh, I bet it is. So what age group are the Radiance of Fairborn Hall books aimed at?
Well, I put down 7 to 14, but ideally 9 or 10. I mean, my youngest was 7 when I first read the first series to him, and he understood it, but that doesn't mean all 7-year-olds going to get it.
No, of course not.
I imagine that some 14-year-olds may think themselves too old for it, but then some 14-year-olds, some teenagers read magical fantasy fiction throughout their teens, so it's difficult to say. But I would say that 8 to 12-year-olds definitely love them.
I'm in my 50s, I still love them.
Yeah, I've got friends that are in their 30s and 40s, and even my mum's in my 70s, and she's read them and she loves them. So
That's great. The covers of the series are very vivid and unusual. You're a painter. Did you design them, or did you hire someone to do it for you?
Well, excuse me. I make the covers myself, which I really enjoy doing. And it took a day of frustration trying to learn how to use the art program on the computer, but once I've learned how to use it, I can make a cover quite quickly. So the raven and the kid's silhouette I drew by hand, and then I scan them into the computer, and the other images I download and I mash it all together. And I like having the raven and the kids running through every cover so they all look like a set.
Clever. Very clever. So how many books do you intend to write and publish in the Ravens of Fairborn Hall series?
Well, I don't really know, but I've written another 3, which are subtitled Pandora's Star, which to my mind are the best ones I've written so far. And at the moment I'm reading them to the kids.
Right.
And they're loving it. They think it's the best so far. I've made the covers, and so it's just in that final editing phase, really. And after that, I've got no idea.
I love how you test them out on your kids.
Yeah, well, you have to, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's such a good way of finding problems within the narrative.
Sure. Was there a particular author or book that inspired you to start writing children's fantasy stories?
Well, there are many. I love Dan Brown books. I love the structure of them, and I love the way he gets real life mysteries and turns them into fiction. I read a lot of Enid Blyton books to the kids, and I love the Famous Five, and you'll see that straight away in the Ravens books in the first few chapters, the secret tunnels, and the kids get separated from the parents, which is straight out of Famous Five.
Yeah.
I love Tolkien and Rick Riordan, the way they merge classical spiritual stories with popular fiction, and even Adam Blade and his Beast Quest series, because they're so simple and kids love them, and I remember thinking I could do that. And, and everything ever published by Marvel Comics, I'm a big comic reader as well.
Your imagination was spiked early, wasn't it?
Yes, thank God for Marvel Comics, because I didn't have anything else when I was young.
So what's next for Martin Adams on the book front? Do you know?
No idea. At some point I'll publish Pandora's Star and keep working on promoting the Ravens and wait for an idea to come. And I'd like to work on some slightly older fiction now that my kids are older. And I do have an idea for a story, but it's much more of an adult-based time travel story. It's more like 50 Shades of Time Travel. So I'll have to wait till the kids are much older for that. And that's a story about wanting something really badly, and when you get it, you destroy it. So I look forward to doing that at some point.
And lastly, where can readers purchase the Ravens of Fairborn Hall books?
They're available at Amazon.
Okay then, that's lovely. All right, well, thank you, Martin. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future, and thank you everyone for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you. Thanks, it's been a pleasure.
Okay, bye now.